Getting richer made me woker. Let me explain. I'm 28 with a six-figure net worth and no debt. I have enough funds invested in the stock market that if I didn't contribute another dime to my portfolio, I could still retire at 60 with about $2 million adjusted for inflation. So the nominal value would actually be higher than that. I got here because at 22, I started learning about investing and saving, and I executed on the information. This video is actually a part 2 to my previous video, so if you're interested in hearing more details about that, then you can click the link down below. Today, I'm gonna be talking about how improving my financial situation helped highlight a lot of the inequalities that we are all living under. I feel like a big part of my political ideology didn't really develop until I was working in my career as an adult and trying to build wealth simultaneously. That missing piece was definitely class consciousness. In part 1, I talked about how I took 1 month off of work and how it was kind of a big shift for me, but I'm gonna go more into detail about that right now. Okay, there's some important context that I accidentally left out, and it is in part 1, but if you don't want to watch that, I'm going to give you a quick rundown here. So I'm going to talk about how I went on a break from work, but you need to know that I built my net worth and took that 1 month break because I was working 2 full-time jobs for 2 years. Within that 2-year frame, I also had a part-time third position. When I decided to take that 1 month break, it was because I was so burnt out. I was doing all of this because I was pursuing something called FIRE. And if you're not familiar with FIRE, it stands for Financial Independence Retire Early, a method or approach people take in personal finance circles where you aim to work as much as you can, raise your income while you're younger, so that you can live on a very small percentage of that income and invest and save the remainder of your income. And the idea is that if you do this while you're young and you front load your savings and investments, you can stop working a lot sooner than someone who either doesn't save at all or someone who's only able to save, 5 or 10% of their income. So that's what FIRE means. That's what it stands for. It's a whole community out there, and I reference it a lot in this video. All right, back to it. During this time, a certain orange demon got their job back and started making life hell, basically for everybody in America and beyond. I'm sure you know who that is, but that influenced me to become a lot more politically aware and politically engaged. That month I took off was unpaid, okay? And I had to jump through so many hoops just to get that. And that was so eye-opening for me because I realized that that benefit, number one, is only there because people fought for that. But the amount of paperwork and bureaucratic bullshit that I had to do just to prove that I had basically earned or deserved this time off it was crazy. Third, I had gone from making over $130,000 down to one income, which was $75,000. And previously, for the years prior where I did have a $130,000 income, I was basically insulated from all of the inflation and just how bad the economy was during that time. So suddenly losing half of my income, almost half of my income, was very jarring. I really started feeling that economic pressure more than I had prior to that. Finally, having that month off work really gave me time to reflect on and think about my experiences. And I realized that going down to one job, as crazy as it sounds, was literally an identity shift. I had literally put so many of my real goals and desires on hold because I made saving, working, investing, that was my number one priority for 2 years. I really started peeling back the layers of my own personal philosophy and goals and my motivations. And I had to ask myself, why am I pursuing FIRE in the first place? What am I doing this for? And what I landed on is that, I wanted autonomy. I wanted to have the freedom to create and do the things that I felt called to do, not just do things because I needed to survive. And I wanted the financial cushion to be able to do that. At this point, I had invested $100,000, which was an amazing feat. But I realized that I literally had to grind myself down to the bone for that money, essentially. I had to sacrifice so much. My physical health was deteriorating. My mental health was the worst it had ever been. I didn't have any hobbies. My relationships were in shambles. And truth be told, just over a year since then, it's been about a year and a half at this point, I am not far off from where I was when I first stopped working 2 full-time jobs, because it takes a long time to heal from that. It takes a long time to change your mindset and to kind of pick up from where you left off before that experience, and recognizing like, okay, you actually do deserve to be in a situation that you like, not just in a situation that will benefit you financially. I am literally still trying to learn that, and it has not been easy. Not only that, but I'm still burnt out. I am still feeling like waking up and going to work every day is a struggle, because my mental health has not recovered from that. My physical health has not recovered from that. I basically came to the realization that FIRE is an individual solution to a systemic issue. I realized what I really wanted was the autonomy and the space to create and to take breaks when I felt like I needed to, without feeling like I had to beg for it. I feel like that is what most people who pursue FIRE are wanting. They just want to live a regular, dignified life without overworking themselves, AKA working until 65, 75, 85, 95. It's not an unreasonable position to have at all. To have healthcare that doesn't bankrupt you, to basically have wages that actually track the cost of living and inflation adjustments, and to have the option to retire without relying on the ebbs and flows of the stock market. Again, wanting those things is not unreasonable at all. In our current society, those things don't exist. FIRE is what people turn to when they realize that the system does not have the support that it needs to live a normal, sustainable life. And again, this is an entire community of people. So I understand that there is a few privileged people who can do this, and it does work out for them. And to be fair, I'm not separating myself from that, because I am one of these people. Even like I said, if I stopped investing today, I would still be in such a privileged position that most people could never imagine being in. And I don't take that for granted. I just feel like it's important to realize that at some point that individual solution will run out. And what's left is the actual systemic issues that grinding was actually compensating for. I'm not saying you should give up on FIRE. I don't think you should feel bad if you know you're trying to build wealth in order to have more financial freedom and stability and build that autonomy for yourself. If you want to do it, I think that you should. I'm glad that I did it. I just don't think the goal should stop at getting yourself out of the system and then just wiping your hands clean and be like, I made it, I'm done, yippee, look at me, I'm free. I feel like the biggest thing that getting richer has taught me is that the system is the problem, and it's not gonna change if a handful of people who recognize the inequality and understand the issues to such a degree that we go to these extreme lengths just to escape it. It should not end there. That should not be the finish line. The system does not get better when we just individually decide to work our way out and then just opt out and stop caring. It gets better when enough of us, again, with the knowledge and understanding of the intricacies and of the inequality, stop treating individual stability and safety as the finish line. For now, if you are pursuing FIRE, I definitely recommend getting more politically engaged, reading more, educating yourself while you're learning about investing. Understand that American capitalism began from slavery. Understand that those values still permeate through corporate America. A lot of your complaints with the current workforce and the corporate system are literally direct influences from enslaving Black people, white supremacy, and the fact that these things still influence politics. If you do not educate yourself, you are laying the groundwork for more subservience to a system that exploits us and will continue to exploit our children and their children until there is nothing left.